Hey, Tim Sykes here. Just wanted to review NTN, my latest Supernova play. Finally got a really big one, and I actually called it way too conservative just because, if you've been following my last few Supernova plays, the best money to be made was inside of the first, hour, sometimes even inside of the first half hour, and then they pretty much all faded. And that's due to the fact that, the market is up so much. We're also in August, so you have to be a little more conservative. August is typically the slowest month of the year if you look at history. Obviously, we're in the middle of this crazy rebound, so I don't know how many supernovas we'll get, but I just want you to understand that when, I'm a little cold, when like I'm not feeling it, that's not the time to say, hey, let's go all in, let's be aggressive. Um, you have to learn from each trade, and you have to learn from the market, and you have to learn from what you do right and what you do wrong. As you'll see, with trading, it's a lot of you versus you. It's not you versus the market. The market is going to do whatever it wants. The plays are going to be there or not be there, no matter if you're there or not. The only thing that you can do is try to be prepared. So this is a chart of NTN. This is the intraday chart, and I'm showing a past chart just because like the next day it tanked. I'm not even interested in what it does the next day. Okay, I called this way too conservatively. I want to explain why, and I think that there's a lot to be learned from this. So this is right around where I had it as a buy alert. It was already down pre-market. I mean, on the left side of this chart, it was in the fives pre-market, and it came all the way down to 3. And understand this stock was up from like the ones the previous few days. And the reason for the big run up is that they initiated a reverse merger, with a biotech company. NTN makes these tablets for restaurants, and restaurants aren't exactly thriving right now, so they needed to find a different business. And I'm not so interested in the biotech reverse merger as more of this as a supply demand vehicle. And let me explain that. If you ever took an economics class, or if you know anything about economics, it's all about supply and demand. The float on this, which means the number of shares that can trade, is only roughly 2 million shares. And this stock traded over 100 million shares on the day. So that's called float rotation. So the same shares are being traded back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And some of those people are actually going to hold on to the shares. So if there's 2 million shares in the float, and let's say some people say, hey, this biotech company sounds pretty good, or, I recognize that float rotation can really spike a kind of junky company up a lot, they might hold on to it. So let's say if somebody buys, 100,000 shares and they just hold on to it. So now the float is only 1.9 million shares. So there's even less supply, and there's still a lot of demand. And you can see here in the volume bars, I mean, this is literally minute by minute, and it's trading a million shares in a minute. So there are a lot of buyers, a lot of demand, and not a lot of supply. So what does the stock price have to do? It has to go up. So that is frankly why I picked this here in the threes. I did not know that it was going to keep going, obviously, to the sevens. If you look at my initial alert, it was just after the market open, and I apologize for the typo. Some people criticize me for that. I'm trying to send out the alerts as quick as possible. I do need a new laptop, but I want you to understand that that is how real I am, because I don't care about the typos. I don't care about the grammatical mistakes. I'm trying to get you the best alert so that you can learn in real time. And it was already up 90%. Okay, so like the stock had already doubled. I know a lot of people say, come on, Tim, find these before they spike. I'm not interested before they spike, because the beautiful thing with supernovas is that if they're up 90%, they can go up 120%. They can go up 180%. They can go up 300%, as it turned out with this play. So you don't have to be first. You just have to recognize the dynamics. And I specifically said, this is a merger with the biotech company, could see the fours or the fives, like it was earlier pre-market. And I said, remember to sell into strength. Less than an hour later, I said that, look, this stock was very choppy, and it just spiked in about a minute. or actually it was like a minute and a half, where it spiked from 340 to 412. So a lot of people are asking me, how can it spike, from 340 to 412? Like if you look at the chart, right? Let me go back to this chart. I mean, for nearly an hour, it was looking weak. I mean, it tested four a few times, but it was hanging here in the low threes. I actually got a few people being like, come on, Tim, you got another dud. And I'm like, it hasn't even been in an hour yet. Like, give it time. And I didn't know that it was necessarily going to go up to the sevens. I just wanted to see the supply demand ratio play out where, some people are buying this stock. They're not flipping it. They're taking it out of the supply. There's still a lot of volume. So there's a lot of demand. So the price theoretically should go higher. So I did not give a sell alert. I know some people said, come on, Tim, like you got to sell initially, like cut losses quickly. But for me, this is why I had the buy alert at 360. When it goes down to like 340, 330, that's an acceptable risk. If I think this stock can go up $2 a share, I'm willing to risk it. If it had cracked support here at $3 a share, then I would have had to cut losses. Thankfully, it didn't. And as you can see here, literally in 2 minutes, it goes from the low threes to the low fours. And this is just when, guess what? The supply ran out. The 2 million share float, along with, probably a few 100,000 shares that were, bought and not being flipped. So there's still a lot of buyers every single minute. Look at this. You can see this one volume bar. Over 1 million shares tried to buy right here. But there weren't enough sellers. So the market makers were forced to put the stock price higher. That is why this stock rose. That is the beauty of supernovas. That is the beauty of low float supernovas. And, frankly, I have a lot of critics, a lot of doubters. And, I saw some negative reactions among them. And I know that some people like to short sell because they're like, oh, Sykes is just trying to pump this up in the threes. And you're welcome to bet against me at any time. I don't have, insecurity about my strategy. I've been doing this 20 plus years. I'm not going to be right every time, but at the same time, this 2-minute window really opened a lot of people's eyes. And actually, I had one doubter who was like, wow, I was shorting this stock and now I see why I shouldn't short it anymore. And that's what I want. Like, anyone is free to do whatever they want. But I want you to learn and I want you to see the upside potential. Not that this biotech company is anything great. Not that NTN is anything great. Simply that there is not enough supply to accommodate all the demand unless the price rises. When the price rises, that inspires some sellers. So in 2 minutes, it went up. And actually, as I was writing the alert to sell, I saw it go up inside of a minute or two from the low threes to the low fours. And I said it got halted. Like when the stock goes up too quickly, you have these volatility halts. And I said, finally a halt long after my initial alert. We had a few alerts where it was like halted within the first few minutes, and that messes everything up. I'm not in control of halts. It's the market. And on this one, you had a 10% drop, frankly, for like 30, 40 minutes. Plenty of time if you understand supply demand where there's upside potential. Then it got halted because it went up too quickly. And as I was typing this out, I said I'd be looking to sell, any position from the threes in the end in a few minutes, ideally in the fours. And then before I could even click send, it got unhalted. And so it was like, as I typed it, it was 4:30. So basically the buy alert was at 360 and the sell alert was 4:30. Just amazing run up. And again, if it's a different market, if it's a different month, if I've been more on a hot streak, I would let this run more. And as it turned out, I mean, even after the halt where I gave the sell alert at 4:30ish, it went up to 5ish. And then later, 45 minutes later, it was in the mid fives. I would not have ever lasted through this. I'll tell you that. Some people say, come on, Tim, give it more time. This is all I wanted. And this is what I expected, and this is what we got. I said the fours or the fives from the very get-go. And this was probably near best case scenario. The reason for this run up from the threes to the sevens is it's a short squeeze. I can't tell you how many people just think that they can short sell these low flow first green day plays and make money. And understand, NTN did crash. the next day. So they're not wrong, but they underestimate the upside potential. They underestimate the risk. If you're shorting, you're betting against it, and the higher it goes, you lose more and more money. And I can't tell you how many newbies and traders have blown up short selling companies because they say, oh, the company fundamentals aren't good. It doesn't deserve to be trading at 4 or 5. It's going to go down. This is a Sykes pump after all, as some of them said. And it's just laughable to me because, this thing trades hundreds of millions of shares. This is not a Sykes pump. This is a short squeeze. And you got a little bit of a short squeeze to begin with. And then this was a giant short squeeze. And you can see the volume really ramping up. And, again, I don't like ripping on traders when they lose money. I think that's, that's just mean. But I want to talk about it because I want you to understand that is why this stock spiked so high. IGC and HX did the same exact thing. All of them also crashed. It's tough to chase a short squeeze, but just know that they can happen. And even, if you're buying the breakout here, over the morning high here at like 5:30, it basically double tops. And this lured a lot of short sellers in, thinking, oh, double top. So first of all, I hardly ever short. I think I've done 2 shorts of like, $5,000 or $10,000 positions in all of 2020. And I took profits both times very quickly because I'm just scared of the squeeze. And I know a lot of short sellers who were shorting it right in here on the double top. And, it's just a lack of risk management, a lack of awareness, a lack of respect for, supply and demand, shorting it anywhere in here. And they just got wrecked. They got absolutely wrecked. I know a few short sellers. I apologize for them. I'm not trying to, rub salt in the wounds, but I know a few who shorted, 50, 100,000 shares in here. And they covered in here and they lost $1, $1.50 a share, 50, 100, $200,000 each. And it's just unnecessary if you recognize that low float stocks like this can run. And this is what supernovas are all about. So congrats to everybody. First, I got to congratulate a few students. Iron Beagle, he says, wow, you're the man, Tim. The alert was spot on. I actually underestimated it. I appreciate it, but I wasn't spot on. Jason made $1 a share from the 3s to the 4s. That's pretty good. Cal was into the 5s and the 6s. Don't worry if you have a small position size. Marco made 32% profit on his small account. Crown, I like this, as he missed the first entry, but he entered, he got in at the $5 a share break, and he's posting a nice little video, Jim Carrey dancing. Michael made $2 a share. Awesome job, $700. Good job, Michael. Jenny traded it a few times, and her last exit was at 776, which was, I think, right around the highs. Michael also, and that chart isn't even the whole run up, but I want you to understand the structure of the run up. Like, why does it happen? How is it predictable to some degree? Michael made some money, a little less than 50 cents a share. Roger in the 447 mark, and it just hit 690. So he was making like $2, $3 a share. Fantastic job. Steven made 300 on IGC and NTN. Thomas made nearly $1 a share from the 4s to the 5s. Sang Trader made $600, sold in the mid 4s. Cole got in the low 3s, out in the 4s. He actually got in before me. Good job. That's what I want for all my top students. Never just to rely on alerts. Eventually you start learning this game and you become self-sufficient. You start saying, oh, wait a minute, I can do this. And I like this. Chris made $1 a share on a small position on NTN. So, this is just a fantastic low float supernova, and it's going to happen again. So be on the lookout. I'll alert you when I see it. That's what supernova alerts are all about. This is why I love supernovas. This is why I love my job. Supply and demand mixed with a good old short squeeze from doubters and haters. This is why I appreciate all of my doubters and haters. I don't hate them. I encourage more. If you know any doubters or haters, say, hey, I hate Tim Sykes too, and get me some more haters to bet against it to create better short squeezes. Anyways, leave a comment below this video. Let me know what you think. Don't worry if you missed it. Don't worry if you got a partial execution. Don't worry if you took a loss. It's all about just learning, okay? And this was a choppy one, and this was not a gimme, but it worked out well. So congrats to everybody who learned from this. That's the most important thing.